One thing I want to talk about is TikTok. I'm looking at an article that just came out today, January 25th, in America this morning, and it kind of confirms what I've been feeling. So, this is what I've been feeling. First of all, thank you for joining the Unboxer. We're getting started on a few different channels, wherever you're joining from. Post comments, and I'll do my best to answer those as quickly as I can. Want to kick off with censorship. So, TikTok, as we all know, was banned for a very short time and it was resurrected from the ashes out of nowhere pretty quickly, which was cool. Started working, we were happy, but for some of us, it was working a day or two later. I was lucky I was in early. Live streaming wasn't working as expected, so there was a bit of a delay, right? That was fine, started working. However, there's been some weird anomalies going on. For example, I'll start with me and then I'll go to mainstream global news that I think is respected by many, if not most, which is Reuters. Let's start with me. So I got this weird message saying that I was suspended from selling products, which I'm not selling products, right? So I thought, well, why does this even matter? And not only that, I got the suspension on January 22nd, and it said you are temporarily suspended from selling products until January 22nd. And I'm thinking, why do I care? I'm not selling products, number one, and it's only until January 22nd, which is the same day this was happening. So I didn't care, but I appealed it anyways. The appeal's been pending for many days. Ever since that, not all functionality is working properly. The other issue that I've been noticing is that um, basically there's some challenges with live stream. It doesn't always show up on my channel, for example. That's one of the issues, but also videos, like views don't behave as they used to. They'll sit there at like 0 or 1 or 2, sometimes for a few hours, which just doesn't happen even with the number of non-human users out there, bots or whatever. There's going to be some hits on any video, I think, pretty quick. So it'll just kind of sit there dormant with like 2, 3, 5, 10 videos, and then suddenly there'll be a bit of a surge, and then it kind of stops again. It's acting weird. So that brings me to Reuters. So today I was checking out Reuters, big write up. I'll try to put this link in chat wherever you are, so those of you that care to read it can read it. Let's see, will this work? I just sent it off to TikTok, and I'm now sending it off everywhere else. Just so you know, I'm not making this up, which many people think I am. So, okay, this is it. Am I being censored is the caption. Some TikTok users in the US say the app feels different after the ban was lifted. So basically, to summarize, you don't have to read this unless you want to. This is the deal. A lot of users are reporting that they're having trouble finding as many live streams as in the past. Also, they're having trouble finding all the content they used to find. They're finding different content and content that they're not actually looking for as much as before. Meanwhile, influencers are also reporting that they're being censored more than before in terms of, kind of having content blocked essentially, and also facing what I explained that I'm facing, which is these suspensions that just don't make sense. So that's basically where this all started. There seems to be something wrong. There's something amiss in Denmark, for those of you in Denmark. So basically, what's happening? This is per TikTok. This is a quote from actually TikTok to Reuters. Our policies and algorithms did not change over the weekend, TikTok claims. We are working hard to restore our US operations back to normal and expect some temporary instability as we restore our services, which could impact TikTok features or users' access to the app. So that was the only statement TikTok made, which was made to Reuters. So that is an official TikTok statement for what that's worth. Now, it goes on. Some TikTok users are basically saying that, yeah, that's all fine, but why is it that like the content that they've always watched before, it's saying currently unavailable? They're getting messages basically that amount to censorship. Meanwhile, President Trump in America is pushing out all this material saying free speech, don't censor, and it seems like TikTok's going in the wrong direction. This is causing a lot of rumors. Some are claiming that someone's acquired TikTok. Some are claiming that Meta has. I believe that's all false. I don't know that to be true. Maybe it's true. I don't think so. But what I do know is that there's a lot of information circulating as far as why is TikTok behaving differently after the ban was lifted. Some more examples from users. They're experiencing limited search results, not getting as much content as they used to. warnings about misinformation on content. Hope you don't see that on my video. Basically saying, hey, this video has misinformation. Thanks, TikTok. And prompts for users to check their sources. So saying, watch out what you read. So is that really credible that with those reports from a lot of users that this has to do with getting things back to normal and some temporary instability? That does seem a little suspicious, right? Users seeing limited search results, I can get that. Okay, sure. Warnings about misinformation. Hard to believe that that's instability. And prompts for users, you, to check your sources. Are you getting one now? If so, check your source. I gave you the link. Prompts for you to check your sources and warnings about misinformation don't appear to be signs of instability. So, long story short here, something's up with TikTok. Are they being pressured? If so, it doesn't seem like it's from the president of America, Donald Trump, because he's going the other direction. Say whatever you want, right? And others such as Meta have gone down that path. Meanwhile, there's rumors saying Meta, Zuckerberg, has acquired part of TikTok US, which I believe are false, but I could be wrong. And if those are true, why is it that Facebook is opening things up? They've fired all their fact checkers. Pretty much anything goes on Facebook now. Why would they be influencing TikTok to do that? Doesn't seem to add up. Something's wrong. Not sure why it is. That's what's going on. Anyway, so that's the first topic. Any comments? Go ahead and post those. Let's see here. Just checking everywhere, make sure I don't miss anything. So aside from that topic, it's interesting that President Trump is, for lack of a better word, on a rampage in terms of immigration and doing a lot of things that some may see as controversial, some may see as they just need to get done. Strengthening the southern border, preventing illegal immigration from coming in at least through that entry point, and also challenging things like birthright citizenship, which is when you're born in America that you acquire citizenship. Basically attempted to ban that through an executive order. A judge did overturn that, and this particular judge is not, I know many will say he's probably a Democratic judge. He's actually not. He was appointed by President Reagan, fairly respected judge, and it's not that he necessarily, morally or emotionally or philosophically disagrees. That's not part of his ruling. He just felt that it was blatantly unconstitutional. So it'll go through various tiers of courts. We'll see where it ends up going in the end. But in light of all that, it's interesting that meanwhile, how is it that the technocrats, Elon Musk and company, are doubling down on bringing in foreign workers to America legally under the H-1B visa program? How does this all reconcile? For those of you that work in skilled labor, for example, engineering, for those of you that work in engineering, for those of you that are going to school to become an engineer, could be a software engineer, could be an aerospace engineer, etc. For those of you in or aspiring to go into STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, for those of you going down that path, this is very relevant to you because we've historically been bringing in somewhere in the neighborhood of 200,000 foreign skilled workers under the H-1B visa program each and every year, which stack year over year. And also spouses and adult children are able to potentially work as well when they come in with the H-1B visa holder. There is a process, sure, not that big a deal. Inevitably, they end up working. So you end up with 200,000 H-1B workers because there's no cap for government, no cap for nonprofits, for example. And then there's 85,000 aside from that. All in all, it's about 200,000 a year, plus spouses, plus kids. We're looking at a lot of people that are staying year after year, passing on to green cards eventually, EB2, whatever. I'll spare you all the acronyms. Long story short, 70% of these are going into tech and are from India as well. Not by coincidence, that's just what happens every year. So what we're essentially doing is funneling a massive amount in a fairly small sector of the American skilled labor workforce, tech, from one specific country, non-citizens. And though that's directly taking jobs from U.S. citizens. And anyone that says it's not true is wrong. Anyone that says U.S. skilled labor lacks talent, well, skilled labor in all countries lack talent. If you go to the skilled labor that lacks the talent, if you go to the skilled labor that's skilled, they've got skills. So plenty of people internationally come to the U.S., get educated, and even when graduating from U.S. universities, go on to get that H-1B visa program to work in the U.S. Bottom line, U.S. engineers are skilled, foreign engineers are skilled. There's not like a genetic superiority of engineers from one country to another. Anyone that believes that's just wrong. There are some gaps in America education, as there are in other countries' education. However, still, we turn out some of the most brilliant minds year after year in all kinds of different realms, including that of engineering and breakthroughs in technology and science and so on. So I don't buy into the inferior talent in America. Also, in the workforce, I just happen to work in big tech, and working in big tech, I'm surrounded by foreign workers here on H-1B visas. There's no just kind of natural superhuman edge that foreign workers by definition possess that US workers don't. So I know I'm talking a lot about this, but I'm concerned that we have such a big influx going into tech, overseas workers going into tech. Elon Musk and company, the technocrats, seek to double down on the number of H-1B visas coming in. Why? Well, Starlink, Tesla, Neuralink, the Boring Company, plenty of tech companies that have a lot of foreign workers there who Elon likes to work exhaustive hours, as he says, sleep on the floor, don't go home at night, etc. If you don't like it, leave. So that seems to be his MO. That's not every MO. That's not the MO I work in. I don't know about you all. So long story short, why are we not seeing more of a trim down on the H-1B visa program, or at least a skill check? Because all it requires is a degree. There's no skill check. There's no federal skill check to prove these are outlier skills we don't possess in the US. It could be done fairly objectively. It's not. So why are we doubling down there? We're not doing any cleanup. We're cleaning up other places. I'll spare you more details on that topic, but that is a fairly big issue. So aside from that, another topic is that's interesting to me personally is the AI gold rush. The AI gold rush. What is that? Well, I mean, the writing's on the wall here that AI is booming. We know that, right? It's just booming. Every major tech company that I'm aware of is deeply involved in AI, not just in terms of funneling massive amounts of financial investment and resource investment in AI, but also trying to break ground, trying to lead the pack, trying to innovate, trying to come out with the next best thing that's going to just be a game changer and increase their shareholding, their percentage equity wise by multiples we can't even imagine. So there's a lot of focus on this, and that includes not only OpenAI but many others. Oracle, for example, SoftBank, for example. There are just so many. Amazon's one of them. Everyone's involved, right? Google. So Stargate was announced recently by Donald Trump. It really pissed off Elon Musk, probably because he's not involved, and his arch enemy of OpenAI is one of the three companies involved in Stargate. Stargate's interesting. Stargate already has $100 billion pledge. Collectively, the pledge is $500 billion investment in U.S. AI, which for those of you who don't know is artificial intelligence infrastructure in America. That's $500 billion investment. That's a whole lot of investment. That's a lot of money, 100,000 jobs. That part doesn't excite me that much because it's not like these are tomorrow. This is like phased in over the next many years. And honestly, it's probably a drop in the bucket, but those are good jobs that I'd love to see US engineers land the majority of those. Hopefully that'll happen. Elon Musk is not involved, so maybe it will. But long story short, that's coming. That's a boom. So I just really want to recommend to anyone out there that either works in an industry that you think will benefit from AI. If you're an engineer and you'd like to learn skills, sharpen your skills related to AI, machine learning, anyone that thinks they may benefit from it, start learning it. You don't have to go back to college, although you can. One path is go to college, get a bachelor's in computer science, or go on and get a master's degree if you have a bachelor's, or get a second master's in AI specifically, or in machine intelligence, for example. There are just a lot of programs. But also, aside from academics, you can go online and get a certificate programs in AI, for example. Also, for those of you that may not be incredibly hyper focused on tech and you're not an engineer, you can actually get some really good certificates in Gen AI. And Gen AI is pretty fascinating. Gen AI is basically used in industry already at an exponential rate. It's expanding in industry, and not just knowing how to use it, but knowing more about it, like knowing how to even modify or develop your own apps, which is a lot easier than you'd think. Long story short, regardless of technical skill set, you can get a certificate in Gen AI and be like a master user. And that positions you to be able to effectively communicate in the tech workplace to effectively interview in the tech realm as well, and probably beyond the tech realm. I mean, it's good to know whether it be Gen AI. I would just say get involved. Don't miss this. It's definitely a bit of a gold rush. It's not going to end tomorrow. Some people are posting comments saying, "Hey, if you're not already in it, it's too late." I totally disagree. Those that are already in it have skills that are there. Those that are graduating from it or certifying in it and are experimenting in it and are innovating in it in academic circles now will probably carry the most cutting edge skills in some ways. So don't hesitate to jump in now. There's no time like the present. Let me just check and make sure I'm not missing anything. It looks like I'm not. Okay, everyone's quiet today, so I will keep on talking. So next, I wanted to mention just kind of touching on some news in the U.S. So you may have heard about this or not, but so the U.S. has withdrawn from the World Health Organization. That's one pretty big change. Also the Paris Climate Accord, that's out too. A lot of pretty heavy changes. The pace is intense. Another breaking news story: Trump turns on major city as ICE agents launch dozens of raids and drag illegal migrants away for deportation. So, this is one concern I would say I have. I mean, I really do believe in immigration reform, and I think we need to fix a heck of a lot in America, and that's one of the things we need to fix. What concerns me is the desperate frenzy to get results. It is something that, in general, in law enforcement, which immigration crackdowns involve, it's important to have time to be meticulous and to kind of foresee what's going to happen, look around corners, not physically, although I guess you can do it with cameras. But what I mean is anticipate what's going to happen and have a plan, have a detention facility, have a reasonable deportation plan, but also make sure that you're pursuing the right people in the right situation. There's no collateral damage. You're not disrupting schools and traumatizing children. Like there are ways to do this appropriately, and there are ways to do it inappropriately as well. My hope is that those that are carrying out this enforcement don't feel so much pressure to get results and get, how many people have we deported? What number is X? We need X to be bigger, push harder. That pressure, I think, is questionable. It needs to get done, but it doesn't need to get done necessarily today. I know many will probably disagree with me, but I think I think we can hit the same numbers, whatever that goal may be, however realistic it is, I don't know, and we can hit those numbers in slightly more time and have law enforcement be safer and have bystanders be safer and have immigrants themselves being deported be safer. Like, we're not trying to get anyone injured or hurt in this process, obviously. So yeah, so that's really what I want to talk about. I do appreciate everyone for stopping by. There's quite a bit of news, hard to keep up with it all lately. I did find it pretty interesting to figure out that TikTok appears to be working incorrectly, not just for me, but for other people as well. So all in all, there are some real issues that are affecting freedom of speech. Basically, they're affecting freedom of speech. And the way they're affecting freedom of speech is users are having trouble finding content they used to find. They're reporting that. That's reported in Reuters. I shared the link earlier in chat. So there's a lack of kind of the abundance of information there used to be there. Users are getting warnings saying basically, fact check this, maybe misinformation warnings. And then also just content that is not available that used to be available. Meanwhile, a lot of influencers reporting that they're receiving enforcement they never used to for the exact same content they've always been able to submit without enforcement. So all in all, I think the Reuters write up kind of puts in writing what a lot of us suspected, which is there's something wrong. And hopefully this is something that, as TikTok claims, it will be fixed, and it will be fixed soon. But honestly, we don't know for sure that will happen. Um, it's kind of uncertain if there is actually an acquisition in the works, and is that why TikTok is kind of changing its behaviors, or is there more to this? And rather than acquisition in the works, it's actually what TikTok claims, which is technical anomalies while they're restoring service in America. It's hard to believe some of that. Some of that might be believable, but it seems like there's a bit more going on. We'll see. The verdict is out. I'm still using Red Note in the meantime, because who knows what's going to happen from minute to minute with TikTok. I think TikTok's at 80 something days and counting till the next ban would go into effect, unless there's some type of a solution, which so far has not been identified.